What's up, everybody? Welcome in. This is the latest episode of 1796 Titans Pod. We've got face cams today, probably from here on out. You see the reactions, you see how we really feel. So, got Code with me as always. Ryan, Jack, whole crew's here. So we got a fun one to talk about. The lost pods are always fun. So everybody knows the Titans threw a game away that they easily should have won. It was embarrassing, really. 17-3 lead, and you end up losing 24-17. Come on, it was bad. The elephant in the room. Will Levis played like dog shit. He threw the game away. We had a block punt, which is a thing year after year. Remember, we talked last year about how bad our special teams was. We have a new special teams coach, and the same shit's still happening. What is there's something going on there. We suck on special teams perpetually through three different coaching staffs at this point. So I don't know what to say about that. Will Levis had one of the worst interceptions you'll ever see. He also had a fumble. It was bad. It was no sugarcoating it. He played like shit. So we'll start off. Ryan, initial takeaways. What'd you think?
Well, like you said, it's the game the Titans should have won. Full stop. The reason the Titans lost was because of two disaster plays and the offensive line falling apart in the second half. And I think Brian Callahan calling plays for the first time affected how he called the game in the second half. It's a game the Titans should have won. When you hold a team to under 150 yards of offense, you most of the time win the game. I think it was the first time in half a century that the team that held the team to less than 150 yards didn't win. So there were some good things to happen, but obviously when you lose, the bad is going to outweigh the good.
Jack, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was bad. I felt like it was one of the worst losses we've had in a long time.
It's a high bar.
And it was hard to believe that what we prepped, what we were, excited for and all that just kind of went completely out the drain, on offense. We hired the offensive coordinator. We surrounded Will Levis with weapons. We surrounded Will Levis with protection. We surrounded Will Levis with an additional darn good running back. And then he just fell flat on his face. And it was disheartening. It was one of the most disheartening losses that I've had in some time, maybe since the Bengals game.
Yeah, the made-up penalty game. Yeah. Code, what about you, buddy?
I'll start off on a positive note. Defense looked good. Defense was the bright spot. I said, 2 pods ago that I was going to jump on the Mayo wagon, I guess, because that's who our quarterback is. I'm off that fucking wagon. You don't get to have yourself surrounded by the weapons and things of that nature. Tony Pollard looked good. Tony, when he could get space, and those first couple of drives, that was okay, we're doing something. But then when you can't pass the ball, obviously the running game is going to suffer in that manner as well. And the bonehead plays, or throw the ball away, man. What was it? Not Saban. It may have been Saban talking about it, Nick Saban, but somebody was talking about what do you accomplish in that situation anyways? You gain 2 yards if you do complete the pass.
Yeah.
You're a professional football player.
Starting NFL quarterbacks don't make that play.
Yeah, you don't do that. This is not Kentucky anymore. Not the learning curve or things of that manner. You're the starter for a franchise that is betting everything on you, essentially.
Yeah, you don't get the excuses you got last year. You were a rookie. I know this is it's still only his 10th start because he didn't start all 17 games last year. I understand that. It's technically still his rookie season. Too fucking bad. I still don't – you still don't get excuses for that. Most Division I quarterbacks don't make that play. Mm-hmm. The thing that he did, if, three of us are diehard Vol fans. If Nico made that play on Saturday, we would roast the shit out of him, as you should. So why I'm not gonna put the kid gloves on for an NFL quarterback. I think Code, I'm glad you said what you said because I thought I was gonna be the negative Nancy like usual. But I got the feeling from watching Levis in this game. I got the feeling that I got from the Malik Willis game a couple years ago, where Malik Willis, I don't know if y'all remember, we played the Chiefs, and our defense balled out, and Willis was in a position to drive down the field and win the game, and he took 2 sacks back to back, didn't even get the ball out. And when I saw that, I was like, this guy will never be a good quarterback. He doesn't have it. Like, you can't come back from a performance like that. And I'm almost going as far as to say I don't know if Levis can come back from that. I mean, what I saw was absolutely abysmal. There's no pocket awareness. The pocket awareness thing was a thing last year too, but it's not any better after one game. I mean, the offensive line was atrocious. Other than Dylan Radins, everybody on the line sucked, I thought Latham had nice moments. I'm not going to roast Latham. It's his first NFL game at full speed. Right tackle is a continuous void. Right tackle never gets better. And I do feel confident enough to say that Nicholas Petit-Frere is never going to be good. He fucking flat out sucks. I mean, I've seen enough from him. Trotting him out there every week is just – Levis is going to get killed. Like, we're not even going to get to see if he can turn it around because the line is so bad. I know Bill Callahan's a great coach, and this might be overreaction, but Bill Callahan's a great coach. Maybe he can do something with it. I'm still really worried about it, though. And Levis, man, like, God, it was very like Mettenberger. I think I told you that, Ryan. It just reminded me of Zach Mettenberger. It was like a Zach Mettenberger type game, and that's not a fucking compliment. Like, yeah, it was just bad. I thought, like you said, Code, you have Hopkins. I know he wasn't 100%, and he's still probably not. But you have Hopkins. You have Tyler Boyd, who's a veteran, knows what he's doing. You have Pollard and Spears. You have Chig, who's a solid tight end. You have Ridley. There's no excuse to play like shit. So I don't know. Do you guys – I know Code – we'll skip Code because he kind of gave us his answer. But Ryan and Jack, how are y'all feeling about Levis? I know it's 1 week. It's 10th game. Has this soured you at all?
Yeah. I'll start. I definitely it definitely has tainted, I think, my perception of him for sure. And I think now he is, at least for me, he's kind of on the hot seat. Because if he plays like this against the Jets, which he is liable to do, because the Jets have Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, solid defense altogether. That defense is way better than the Bears, at least 3 to 4 times better than the Bears. And I don't foresee that. I don't see him doing better than he did last week. I mean, he can not make the dumb boneheaded throws. I think that's like a simple thing that you can do. But I think one of the big things was like not leading Calvin Ridley in the second quarter for that. He was wide open. All he needed to do was put it over more to the left or straight down. And instead he takes him off of it. And unfortunately, that was almost a pick by Jalen Johnson. And Calvin Ridley absolutely burned one of the best corners in the NFL. And that should have been a touchdown. There was plenty of other instances of that early in the first 2 drives. I think he missed, I can't remember who it was, on the left side, one of the receivers, or Tyler Boyd maybe, but missed him. He just did not have a feel in the pocket, and he's gonna feel it this upcoming week because this Jets team is going to get after it, and they definitely don't want to go 0-2. And so the panic. My finger is slowly pushing the panic button because this could absolutely derail the entire season that we've spent over $100 million in trying to give our quarterback the best possible situation. And then if we do not have a quarterback after this season, we are in some serious trouble because we're not good enough or we're not bad enough to be picking top 5, probably not. And Quinn Ewers, Beck, those guys are going to be top 5. Okay. And we don't have any money to get a quarterback in free agency. Dak Prescott signed his contract. And so this is conjuring up a lot of ideas in my head about what is this going to look like if Will Levis is not the guy. And if he's not the guy, our franchise has been set back 3 to 4 years, and we're paying dudes for the next 3 to 4 years for nothing, because we will not win a Super Bowl with even if Carson Beck comes in day 1 or Quinn Ewers comes in day 1, we're not going to win a Super Bowl in the first 2 to 3 years with that type of quarterback. It's just not going to happen. And so if Will Levis is not the guy, it is an absolute travesty, and it substantially hurts this franchise going forward. Like it's probably like one of the worst situations to be in, considering we spent so much money and we're going to have so little coming out of it. And so this is, I'm ready to pull the fire alarm. I'm pretty close.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say about Will Levis. To me, the obvious play, the pick six, that's something if he does that again, he should be cut like right after the game, because a high schooler, forget a college football player, a high schooler doesn't do that. Like, I don't think that will happen again. But what concerns me more, he passed 32 times for like 127 yards, was less than 4 yards per attempt. I mean, you got to be better than that.
That's abysmal. That's DJU numbers.
I mean, and the other thing, the pocket movement just makes no sense sometimes. He runs into the pressure instead of stepping up in the pocket.
Dude, the hip left thing, what the fuck is that?
Stupid. I don't know who coached him that, or if he just does that on his own, but that's got to stop, because it's giving an already struggling offensive line even more work to do. But I'm trying to temper everything after just one game. I'm not ready to hit the panic button on the team or Will Levis yet. I'd have to see 2 more performances like this to really be hitting the panic button. So,
see, the problem with that, though, is if you see 2 more performances like this, the season is total fucked. Yeah. Like, that's the problem with that. There's no – that's why I don't think we're overreacting, because, like Jack laid it out, we're totally fucked if he's not the guy. You're starting from scratch with no cap space, and you got a new stadium that you're not going to sell tickets to, because nobody is going to pay the prices that they want us to pay to watch the shitty product that they deliver. It's just not going to happen. And when you get a rookie quarterback, oh my God, can you imagine if we get Carson Beck? That's just going to alienate even more people, but that's a different topic. I do want to say this. Vol fans, Code, you know what I'm talking about. Vol fans know ball, apparently, because we were warned about – I mean, we all saw Will Levis in college, and he didn't look fucking good. I mean, that's rose-colored glasses, Like, it's easy to say that now. He fucking did suck at Kentucky, though. I mean, he did. But you're betting on upside. You're betting on, like, the raw potential and the raw talent. It's just going to make a lot of people look really stupid if he doesn't pan out. Like Jack said, I mean, we have no money to play with. We're going to be looking at the Saints cap situation where, like, they're perpetually in cap hell.
But they winning.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. I mean, this roster is too talented to be in a situation. And I'm not saying we're there yet, but it could easily, like, digress into something really, really, really bad. So, hopefully it doesn't, but it's hard to not be nervous right now. You got so much riding on this season, and you come out with a stinker like that. And in a lot of ways, it looked like a Vrabel team, like, and not in a good way. Like, it was a boring ass offense. Like you said, like 3 yards per play. I mean, that's terrible. That's not modern football. Like,
yeah. And if I can interject 1 second, and one of the best plays that Coach Callahan cooked up is a reverse to Traylon Burks. What is that?
Yeah, that play should never be called again.
Who? Why?
Why are we? That's the second coach, Jack. That's the second coach that's tried that. Vrabel tried that shit too. Who is under the impression that Traylon Burks is some speedster?
his college highlights.
His lungs don't work.
I-
I mean, the dude is not good. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. He shouldn't even be on the team, much less seeing significant. He shouldn't have plays drawn up for him. I mean,
He's on the team because they want to try and somehow validate the AJ Brown trade still.
Yeah, well, that's done.
Yeah.
One of them's a Hall of Fame receiver. The other one can't stay on the field. And when he is on the field, he's a net negative. The trade's over.
Jack said something earlier about the 2 to 3 year period of trying to dig out of a hole. If 2 to 3 years, if I would be all in for us to suck a little bit to go on and draft Nico up there.
I knew you were going to go.
That's just me. Or
G-Mac,
if Will Levis continues to stink it up, I don't think Dobbs should have ever been let go from Nashville.
I don't think he's like a long-term answer, but
I don't think he's a long-term answer either, but I don't think Mason Rudolph is either.
I mean, let me ask you guys this. If Mason Rudolph or Josh Dobbs were in the game last week, I think we win.
Because more so.
I just don't think that Rudolph or Dobbs would have made that stupid ass mistake. They wouldn't do anything that would impress you necessarily, but they wouldn't do that shit that he did. So
Dobbs
I mean,
at least ran.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a stretch to say at all. I mean, I don't think either one of them are very good, but I don't think they're game managers. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's like a nightmare scenario though. If it gets to the point where if Mason Rudolph is the starter at some point this season and it's not because of injury, that's terrible. That would be the most Titans thing ever, though.
I mean, Hendon's not starting in Detroit.
That would be. Hey,
that would join two fan bases instantaneously.
That would be really good for merch sales. But it's a conundrum that the team is in, and we can all look like dumbasses, and hopefully we do. Hopefully we all look like dumbasses next week if he throws for 320 and a couple tutties.
Oh yeah.
Then we'll all feel like idiots. But I mean, at this point, we have we always talk about battered Vol syndrome. Battered Titan syndrome is even more so a thing. I mean, at least the Vols have past success to fall back on. What the fuck do we have?
Lost the Super Bowl by a yard.
Yeah, the most heartbreaking Super Bowl loss you could possibly imagine. Yeah, that's what we have. So if we're being negative after 1 week, I mean, can you blame us? Like, history will tell you this probably won't work out in our favor. So I don't feel bad about it. I hope they prove me wrong. But anyway, we'll go to some positives. The defense looks amazing. And like you said, Jack, I don't think this team is bad. I don't think the defense will let this team be bad enough to get a top 5 pick. Denard Wilson was talking this week about how he was really impressed with his defense, but he just wants more turnovers, and there's more emphasis on forcing turnovers. If this defense starts forcing turnovers, it might be the best defense in the league. I mean, Tavondre Sweat looked amazing in his first game. I know. So if you didn't watch the game, you'll think I'm like crazy for saying that because he didn't record a single statistic. He had an 80 PFF grade. He was one of the best interior defenders in the league in week 1. I mean, he was getting double teamed. He was bull rushing people. They couldn't run the ball at all. He's literally Vince Wilfork. I think it's awesome. L'Jarius Sneed had the clamps on DJ Moore for the most part. I'm not worried about the defense at all. If the defense, I mean, they held the offense to 0 freaking points, or 6, I guess. But I mean, if they play like that, we're going to win a lot of games, regardless of, whatever else happens.
Yeah, the problem is there's 2 other aspects of football. There's offense, and then there's the bugaboo, the special teams. And every single year, special teams cost us football games. Last year, it was Indianapolis that we played where Stonehouse broke his leg or tore his ACL. And almost the same thing just happened in week 1. And, thank God that did not happen. And so, really we gotta figure out special teams because that's unacceptable. Jack Givens has been there for, I don't know how long, 2 to 3 years now. And all of a sudden he forgot how to block. I'm sorry, you can't be on the team if you can't block. That's as simple as that. You can't. There's no space for you. Put Ernest Jones in your spot. You're cut. Get somebody off the street just to hold up for 1.5 seconds. Just hold up for 1.5 seconds. That's all you have to do. And Jack Gibbons just can't do that. I don't know. I can't.
That's another guy that shouldn't be on the team. I mean, there's not one thing he's good at. He got a lot of tackles last year because he was on the field constantly. He should have been cut immediately after the game. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Jack. I mean, I don't know what it is. You can't say it's the coaching. It's obviously, I mean, unless every coach we hire for the last 20 years sucks. But it's always been a problem. No matter how many players we keep that are special teams aces, they don't become aces when they're here. I mean, I don't get what it is. And I feel like it's harder to fix than the offense because, there's like a proof of concept with the offense, Like we have several players on the offense who have played at a Pro Bowl level before, and you know that they can look good. The special teams, who knows? I mean, I don't know how you fix it.
Yeah. I mean, what did I say on the preview pod? What's the difference on the road in the NFL? A lot of times,
Turnover margin, special
teams. And we had that horrendous punt block return for a touchdown, and we gave up a long return to give them 3 more points. And also, I noticed this on almost every punt we had. I don't think the Gunners made one tackle on punt coverage during the whole game. They always got contained from the Gunners. Like, what's that about? It's just simple stuff like that lost us the game. Just disasters, pure disasters.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. How many games over the past 5 years have we lost because we allowed a kickoff return touchdown or a punt return touchdown or a blocked punt? I mean, it's just a joke. Like, we have to lead the league. Over the last 5 years, we have to lead the league in terrible special teams plays.
Yeah,
like
I mean, we had 2 in one game last year. How's that even possible? That's like never happened probably in like 100 years.
To me, sorry, Bryce. To me, the punt block is worse than the Levis pick six because at least Levis is showing some type of effort, or is
trying to
put
make
into
a play.
He's put into something stupid at the end of the day, but at least he's trying. Gibbons just, I don't know, got hit and fell down and got out of the way. Like, it's just nonsense on special teams year after year. It's a joke.
I mean, Gibbons is a player that I really didn't expect to survive in the post-Vrabel era because he's another one of those undrafted free agent bums that Vrabel thought was like gritty and tough, and he's just a fucking loser. Like, there's no reason he's on the team. There's seriously not. I mean, James Williams looked better than him. I almost guarantee you Cedric Gray will look better than him. I mean, it's just a joke. It's seriously a joke. There's something weird that happened. So Tony Pollard looked amazing. I mean, we know Tony Pollard's good. That's not a surprise. But the thing that surprised me is leading into the season, Callahan was talking about how it's a true 1-2. Like we have on the initial depth chart, it didn't say Pollard was the starter. It said Pollard or Spears, and it was not a 1-2 at all. It was Pollard's backfield. Spears wasn't involved at all. Who knows why? I mean, Spears helps you in the receive. I mean, Pollard does too, but Spears can help you in the passing attack too. It's not like Derrick Henry where he comes in the game and it's an obvious run or something. Like, I didn't understand that. And Callahan did acknowledge it. He did say that they're going to get Spears more involved in week 2. So hopefully they do. I mean, Spears is dynamic. He's a weapon. There's no excuse to not have him more involved in the game. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, I told you all last week I was going to give Callahan the benefit of the doubt for the weird-ass roster decisions that he made, where he said, he didn't care about position. He was just keeping the 53 best players. Well, he kept 5 tight ends, and what the hell did that do? Why is Nick Vannett on the team? Nick Vannett doesn't need to be on the team. Jack Gibbons doesn't need to be on the team. You don't need to keep 7 linebackers. You don't need to keep 5 tight ends. It's weird. And I think it makes sense that he only kept 3 running backs now because apparently Pollard's the only one that's going to touch the ball. So I don't know. It's weird. What is the biggest, other than we won't count Levis because that's obvious. What's the biggest area of concern position group wise for you guys?
I think it would have to be the O-line. I think that's the obvious choice. Like that was frighteningly bad. There was pressure from, why is Peter Skoronski giving up so much pressure to, Andrew Billings or whoever his backup is? Why is NPF giving so much pressure to, former Titans? Same thing with JC Latham, former Titans that we kicked off the team because they suck. Now all of a sudden they turn God mode, like every single person does. After they leave the Titans, they turn into an all-pro somehow, some way. Started with Randy Starks, if you remember him. Okay, longtime Pro Bowler for Miami. I don't know what's up with that, but the O-line looked absolutely terrible. Besides in the run game, they looked absolutely terrible. And we cannot have last year end up leaking into this year. Because what did he get sacked? Levis got sacked like two or three times, maybe more. But he definitely got pressure at least probably 50% of his snaps. I think somewhere around that.
He had the second or third highest pressure rate of all quarterbacks in week 1.
Exactly. Why the hell did we fix this O-line if we can't be better than what we were last year when we were the worst offensive line in the whole league, maybe historically? And it looks bad. JC Latham looks slow on the left side. And that was one of my big worries about him, that he will not be able to have the finesse to play left tackle. And then you turn the page and look at Joe Alt. All of a sudden, he's shutting down Max Crosby, the best defensive end in the NFL. Like that.
If you don't like that, you don't like Titans football. I mean,
that's just like it's so apropos to the Titans that they were supposed to get Joe Alt. Everybody mocked Joe Alt to us. Okay, cool, Joe Alt. Then we get, this bruising left tackle. Hopefully it's just, one game for him and he gets better. He obviously has the best offensive line coach he can possibly have. But him and MPF, they got to figure that out. And Peter Skoronski. Peter Skoronski has no excuse. Peter Skoronski was projected to be a Pro Bowl caliber talent at guard when he was originally a left tackle, in college. Those to move to guard because they said, oh, he's going to be a Pro Bowler. He's better fit at guard because of his short arms, whatever the case may be. I don't care. Whatever. How is he letting up so much pressure? And it's just so bad. It's so bad. And if we don't have Peter Skoronski playing like he needs to, playing next to a rookie left tackle, JC Latham, and then on the other side, we have to worry about MPF. You cannot win football games I don't care if you're Peyton Manning. You cannot win football games like that. It's just, there's just no way.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, Bryce. I'm on the same page with offensive line. I think that's obviously the group to be most worried about. I guess the hope is they gel as the season goes on with one of the best O-line coaches in the last 30 years. But, like Jack was saying, Skoronski was supposed to be the safe pick. And I know he's only had, I guess, a little over, it's probably around 13, 14 games at this point with the time he missed last year when his appendix exploded. But you expect to see better. I mean, it's full stop. You have 2 first-rounders on the left side of the line. I know one's a rookie. But again, I think that they will gel and get better. So,
I mean, it has to be the offensive line. I mean, receivers didn't get a chance. Chig got a touchdown. Pollard looked amazing. The defense was amazing. Special teams sucked. O-line sucked. Rinse, repeat. I mean, you could say this every loss of the last 5 years. I mean,
yeah,
it's really tiring. It's really exhausting. I mean, you're getting mad about the same shit every year. It transcends coaching staffs. It transcends entirely new rosters. I mean, it's really like the Twilight Zone. Dylan Radins is the only one on the line that I think is immune from criticism at this point. PFF rated Radins really well, and he didn't he didn't catch my eye as like a problem or anything. Cushenberry, I thought, was underwhelming, especially when you're playing against. I mean, I don't think this is a stretch. That was the worst defensive line that we're going to play all year, and we got bullied. Like that ain't good. What do you think's going to happen when I mean the Jets have a better defensive line than the Bears. The Texans have a way better defense. I mean, do you think Nicholas Petit-Frere stopping Danielle Hunter? I don't.
With the Titans' luck, well, they'll probably sign Hassan Reddick on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, look at the
3 sacks.
Look at what the Bears did. So Darrell Taylor, go Vols, baby. But Darrell Taylor had 2 sacks. Darrell Taylor just got claimed on waivers like 2 days before the game. And he came in and just dominated our offensive line. Darrell Taylor looked like freaking Lawrence Taylor. Like it made no sense. And this is the type of shit that happens. Like some nobody, no offense, Darrell, like some nobody dominates our shit every year. It's really frustrating. I thought, like I said, I think the NPF experiment, well, it can't really end though because there's nobody better on the team. And I thought it was weird, Jack. I want to know your thoughts on this. I know you wrote about it, but in my opinion, other than Brunskill, they kept the worst possible backups they could have. I thought Ojukwu, Rupchich, and Duncan were horrible in the preseason. They were absolutely terrible, and we kept them. Jaron Christian looked better. Leroy Watson, who we gave up a draft pick for and didn't even make the team. You're telling me he's not better than John Ojukwu? I guarantee you he is. So that's kind of the conundrum you're in there, because if these guys, continue sucking, what do you do about it? I mean, you've got 3 backups that are even worse, that have no starting experience. Rupchich came in and looked like one of the worst guards I've ever seen.
Bryce, he literally had like a less than 20 grade on PFF on pass blocking snaps.
Yeah, he allowed like 8 pressures on 10 snaps. It was something crazy like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, how do you how do you even make it to that point? If it's mind blowing.
I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons I think the Titans couldn't control the pass rush in the second half. I mean, that is that big of a drop off.
And I'm not trying to say it's. I don't want people to hear what we're not saying. Like, we're not saying Levis is excused, because, again, if he takes the sack instead of a pick 6, we probably win.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some people bitching about what Callahan said. Like, a lot of people got in their feels about what Callahan said about how we would have won the game if we just punted on first down every single time. But he's fucking right. Like, he's right. I mean, you might not like the head coach saying that, but he had every right to be pissed, and he had every right to say it. When your offense puts out a stinker like that. I mean, how do you think Amy feels? All this money she invested in the offense, and it can't be a rookie quarterback who – let's talk about that. Caleb Williams looks fucking terrible. There were plays – I had to hear it because I was talking shit about how bad Caleb Williams looked, and then my quarterback ended up looking worse somehow. That's just the curse of being a Titans fan. Like, Caleb Williams, if we just kept the foot on the gas and didn't make those stupid mistakes and say we came away with like a 17-10 or 20-10 win or something, the entire story this week would be about how horrible Caleb Williams is. But instead, he gets a free pass because his defense bailed him out, and nobody's going to talk about how terrible he looked. And that pisses me off because he was fucking terrible. He had 90 passing yards. I mean, it was a joke. And he gets to go up there and talk shit to Jeffrey Simmons. Scoreboard. Buddy, you scored 6 points. Like, and that's what pisses me off the most about Levis, because we can't even talk shit about that because Levis shit his pants. The defense, can you imagine being a member of that defense? I was talking to my wife about this. Can you imagine being Jeffrey Simmons? If I was Jeffrey Simmons, I probably would have knocked Will Levis stone the fuck out. Like, Jeffrey Simmons has been busting his ass on this team since he's been here. How many elite, amazing defensive performances have we wasted? Like, just imagine that you're busting your ass, making the quarterback look like shit, not allowing a single touchdown, and you still lose because your quarterback looks even worse. Like, that would be so frustrating. That's got to be so. Like, that's got to be terrible for the locker room morale. Like, I can't imagine it was like a happy-go-lucky atmosphere this week.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Jets game. I'm ready to snap and clear.
All
Get
right,
this game out of my life.
let's get back into it. I think we said everything we need to say about this travesty. So going on to the Jets game. Jets are coming in town. Aaron Rodgers, as the quarterback. Garrett Wilson, elite receiver. Bryce Hall, elite running back. Tough defense. Probably the best corner in the league. It's going to be a tough game. Odds makers think it's going to be a tough game too. We're 3.5-point underdogs at home, which means we're probably like a 5 or 6 point dog. So that'll be interesting. There's going to be a lot of Jets fans there. Go figure. But I mean, what are we thinking here? Do you think? And honestly, I think this is going to tell me a lot. If we come out flat and look like dog shit, that we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I'm really anxious to see how we come out following a disheartening loss, like losing the way that you lost last week. Can you bounce back? Can you have a short memory? What do y'all think?
Yeah, for me, I'm really worried. Like I said, if this game does not go according to plan, you need to pull the fire alarm. Okay, because very rarely do 0-2 teams get to the playoffs. And last time that happened was, I remember when the Jeff Fisher. No, that was 1-4, but that was good times too. But it's been a long time, and so your odds to hit the playoffs are extremely decimated if you'd go 0-2. And so not only that, but that's going to completely kill the morale of this team going 0-2. And so, I mean, they really got to lock in. Brian Callahan has to have a much better game plan going into this game and better halftime adjustments in this game than he did it with the Bears. So hopefully he's figured out, what he did wrong the first game so he doesn't repeat those same mistakes, because it's going to be tough. It's going to be a really tough game. I don't care which way, but it's one of those games where I feel like it can really make or break your season, in which
100%.
you can't have two terrible losses back to back like this early in the season, or else the locker room is going to start falling apart, especially if Will Levis is the one who's going to bear the brunt of it. If he's the one that's not playing up to par and the defense is having to bail him out over and over again, just like they tried to do, last week. And so I don't know what needs to happen necessarily, but he needs to get on page with Calvin Ridley, like 100%. It's been too many months that Calvin Ridley has been on this team, and they can't get in sync. They tried to hit, Levis tried to hit him on that backside fade, try to get him a back shoulder fade late in the game, fourth quarter on the comeback. Didn't work. And then, Levis missed him, like I said before, on the long ball, missed him. And then he missed him as he was running up the left side of the field when he burned another receiver. When Ridley burned another cornerback. So there has to be, I don't know what it is, but they need to get their chemistry together. I know Calvin Ridley was talking about in the locker room, I think today or yesterday, about trying to get more in sync with Levis. And so that has to happen. But before that can happen, as we talked about, this offensive line has to be able to block. And that Jets defensive front seven is going to be rough. It is going to be really difficult. And, this is going to be a really tough game. And I don't foresee it playing out well for the Titans.
I have a different read on this game.
Here comes the sunshine pump.
Yep. Jordan Mason started in place of Christian McCaffrey on Monday night. He ran for like 150 yards. on this Jets front seven. I know San Francisco obviously has a better offensive line, but that gives me a little hope if they can sprinkle the carries around a little bit better between Pollard and Spears, keep them both fresh, that we could move the ball on the ground and play off play action and have the offense be a little bit more effective. And I also think the Titans corners are better than the Jets receivers. I think they're not going to go for – I don't think Aaron Rodgers will throw for 300 yards or anything. No. But – and it's your first home game. And like we've been saying, this is a must-win. I know it's a must-win for the Jets too, but I don't know. I just have a good feeling about this game.
I just don't see Aaron Rodgers starting 0-2. I just really don't. Like, with the hype that team gets, I don't feel good about it at all. And let me get you guys' read on something. So this could be more concerning to me than Levis, honestly. Brian Callahan, I know it's his first game as a head coach ever. It's not lost on me. But he fucking showed it. So the two scripted drives were the two worst drives that we had all day. And that's a concern. Like, you have 6 months to prepare for this game, and the first play the first drive of the season, you go 3 and out against a mid defense at best. And then the first drive out of halftime is, you know what he dialed? Do you guys remember what he dialed up then? He dialed up the Treylon Burks jet sweep. No. That was the scripted drive, was a Treylon jet sweep. That's a concern to me. You go into halftime and you dial up a jet sweep with Treylon Burks. And that drive resulted in Stonehouse getting sent to the shadow realm. And it went downhill from there. So that's concerning to me. And hopefully that's just, first game, like jitters, whatever. He'll get better. He'll learn, But Ken Wisenhunt is one of the worst head coaches I've ever seen. And he could win games if you gave him 6 months to prepare for him. Those are the only games he could win. Brian Callahan looks worse when he has time to prepare. So maybe he was in his own head. Maybe he was overthinking it. I'm not going to totally overreact on that yet. That would be absurd. I'm not saying he's a terrible coach after one game, but when you go into halftime knowing you need to keep your foot on the gas and you dial up a Treylon jet sweep, that was your big plan. That's concerning. So I don't feel great about this game either because, like I said, and it concerns me, like, just I buy into things like this more than Ryan does. I know he rolls his eyes, but I'm very big into, like, momentum and hype, and the Jets got a lot of hype, and I just don't see a Hall of Fame quarterback starting off 0-2. I just don't see it. And let's be honest, it's gonna be 30% Jets fans in the stands at least. I mean, a team from New York with a Hall of Fame quarterback, they're gonna have fans. So I don't even think the home field advantage is going to matter that much. But I do think, I do, from a football perspective, I do agree with Ryan about, I do think there's a chance that we could get something going on the ground here because if you let a backup running back get 150 on you, I do think there's, that's encouraging. I think Spears, like I said, will be more involved, I would hope. So, if it was more 50-50, they both get like 80, 90 rushing yards. I think that's within the realm of possibility. Hopefully, if we got in a situation like that, which granted we were winning last week too, but hopefully you get in a position where you can kind of control the tempo and time of possession, and we can just it's not going to come down to Aaron Rodgers winning it with his arm. That's what you're going to hope for. The key to this game for me is you got to keep Levis upright. Because this could easily get out of hand. I could easily see Levis getting sacked 6 times. Hopefully he doesn't, but be stout in the run game. Keep Levis upright. Win the turnover battle. You could say that about every game, but especially this week. After what happened last week, you got to win the turnover battle. We're going to have to pick Rodgers off. You're going to have to cause a fumble somewhere. you're going to have to make play. The defense is going to have to probably step up again. And I don't think it's the best. I just don't think it's the best matchup for us, honestly. So we'll go ahead and go into score predictions. Ryan, since yours is going to be different than ours, I'm assuming, let's have you start us off.
I'll say this first. The home field advantage will matter because I'll be there. And then the next thing I'll say before I give my prediction, Will Levis, I'm going to look into the camera actually. Will Levis redemption game. He's throwing for 250 yards minimum. Okay. I'm taking the Titans 24-20.
Okay, Jack.
Okay. I honestly feel in my heart we're going to lose this game. Usually when I do feel that, it's usually the opposite. So very, very likely it's more so for Ryan there. But I'm going to go 2016 Jets.
Yeah. I don't feel very good about it. I really don't. I think it could get out of hand. I think we're going to try to establish the run game. Something terrible will probably happen. I do think we'll keep it close just because we typically do. I mean, Titans don't historically get embarrassed, but I do think we'll fall short and start the dreaded 0-2. I think we'll have a chance at the end of the game to go down and win it, and let he just won't. I think it'll end up being 23-17. Unfortunately, you start off 0-2, and it doesn't get much easier from there. So,
yeah. I mean, if we're talking about trends continuing for the Titans through multiple head coaching regimes, what do the Titans do after they have an embarrassing loss against a lesser opponent?
Yeah, they
usually win.
They play up and down.
So, I mean, that's another thing. If we're just talking about the Titans trends, so, but I really believe, because honestly, like I started this with, without the disaster plays that happen once in 1,000, Titans win that game comfortably by 10 to 14 points on the road. So I'm really not as concerned as y'all are. I think it's just you got to eliminate the dumbass plays, and I think that they will, especially at home.
I'm just kind of at this have to see it to believe it stage, show me that those past demons are exercised. Don't keep doing the same shit. And after 1 week, doesn't look good. I mean, beating a dead horse, but a lot of the same shit that's plagued us for years just keeps coming back. And it'd be nice to end that. I mean, it would be really sick. I mean, we would all be thrilled if the offense if they break the 30-point streak this week. That would be nice. But we'll see. Hopefully we have a happy recap next week, but I don't know. So we didn't really go fully in depth on the Jets roster like we did last week, but everybody knows their weapons. They have the weapons. They have a stout defense. So I think, like we all said, it'll be a season-determining win or loss because our season could easily spiral if we start off 0-2. I mean, I'm not going to say it's totally over if we lose. I mean, you hate to call it a must-win game in week 2 because there's 17 games, but it kind of feels like it. I mean, so we'll see. But anything else y'all want to hit on before we get out of here?
No.
I'm good.
All right. Tighten up, baby.
Tighten up.
Tighten up.